Police court has given Gu Kailai a suspended death sentence after she admitted the murder of British businessman Neil Haywood. At a trial on 9th of August, Gu admitted to poisoning Haywood, triggered by a business dispute between them, which led Haywood threatening her son, Borgwagwa. A suspended sentence to Gu means she would likely be jailed for life, provided that she does not commit offences in the next 2 years. Speaking after the sentence was announced, court spokesman said the courts believed Mr. Haywood had threatened Gu's son, but had not acted on the threats. It also found Gu had been suffering from psychological impairments. Gu's aide, Zhang Xiaojun, was sentenced to 9 years in prison for his parts in the murder. Bo Xilai, Gu's husband and former party chief in Chongqing, has not yet appeared in public since the investigation into Gu was announced. After decades of tight government controls, the Burma Information Ministry has announced the abolishment of media censorship, allowing freedom of expression in the Southeast Asian nation. The Ministry of Information announced on Monday that reporters were no longer required to first submitting their stories to a censorship board before publications, as they have for the past 50 years. The head of the Press Scrutiny and Registration Department said that censorship began on the 6th of August in 1964 and has now ended after 48 years and 2 weeks. But deep concerns remain about restrictive press laws that still exist and allow the authorities to punish reporters and even close publications deemed a threat to national security. In the past, many reporters and journalists have been sent to jail and newspapers were shut down. But in recent months, journalists have received guidelines which allow them to write about controversial topics, something that would have been unthinkable under the previous military rule. The daughter of South Korea's former leader has been nominated for the South Korea presidential race. Park Geun-hye will become the first female president in the country if she wins. Park lost both parents in separate assassination plots and described herself as married to the country. Her father, Park Chung-hee, ruled South Korea from 1961 to 1979 until he was assassinated by his own spy chief. Her mother was killed by a pro-North Korean agent. Park secured an 84% of the vote, which was an easy win in the primary of the conservative New Frontier Party. She is now the current favourite to win the presidency in the December 19 votes. 5 years ago, she narrowly lost to Lee Myung-bak in the party's 2007 primary. This year is her third attempt to win the Conservative presidential nomination. Now moving on to sports news. Warriors coach Brian McLennan has resigned, and assistant coach Tony Ara will take over for the last 2 matches of the season.
While McLennan was contracted until the end of the 2013 season, Warriors chief executive Wayne Scurra said both parties had agreed on an early release in the best interests of the club. The final 2 regular season matches that Iro will coach are against St George Illawarra on Saturday and the Canberra Raiders on Sunday the 2nd of September. McLennan only joined the Warriors this season to much fanfare, but having lost 2 games in a row after leading by 18 points, and then in the next 2 having almost 100 points scored against them, it was just too much. Injuries and a change in personnel did have an impact, and a number of the players are disappointed to see him go.
Manchester United got off to a losing start in the Premier League season yesterday, crashing to a 1-0 defeat at Everton.
Everton forward Marouane Fellaini shone throughout the game and was rewarded with a stunning header to score in the 57th minute. Former Manchester United player Darren Gibson provided the perfect cross from a corner. United's new signing Robin van Persie waited 67 minutes to come on, but his teammates didn't provide any quality ball. Tom Cleverley came closest to levelling the scores for last season's runners-up, but his shot was cleared off the line. It was the first time Alex Ferguson's side has lost a league opener since 2004.
Ricky Herbert has named a 20-man squad for the first 2 matches in the 3rd stage of FIFA World Cup qualifying in September.
Captain Ryan Nelson will return to lead the side against New Caledonia and the Solomon Islands, and will be joined by West Ham's Winston Reid and US-based Dan Keat. All 3 missed the Oceania Nations Cup when the All Whites really struggled. The squad also includes 7 of Herbert's Wellington Phoenix team, who are now in India on an A-League pre-season tour. Meanwhile, the recent good run by the New Zealand women's team has pushed their ranking to 21 on the latest FIFA list.
According to Professor Paul Spoonley, youth unemployment rates have been doubling since the global financial crisis, and young New Zealanders who are looking for jobs seriously need to develop stronger soft skills. Today we have our TV9 Finance Weekly host Brenda Lee with Professor Paul Spoonley himself from Massey University to share his viewpoints with us.
From your point of view, is academic like straight A equivalent to job search success?
Yes, it is. And the hesitation I have is that if that's all you've got, then you need to think about other things. But remember that A's are really important because they tell the employer that you've been successful and you can really perform. But employers are looking for more than that. So that's part of the answer. And please, students need to get good grades.
Okay, so what sort of, well, what other skill? You did mention about soft skills.
Yes.
So what is it that they need to develop?
Well, we do repeat surveys of employers, and the one thing that they really look for are these soft skills. And by soft skills, I mean communication skills, being able to use a computer, being able, having good work habits, so turning up on time, being presentable, but really communication skills are really important. So, and the final thing is being able to solve problems.
Okay.
So we'd say to you, as an employer, we'd often do a test and see if you've got those sorts of skills. So at people who are going through the education system, we do provide some excellent training, communication classes or whatever, and I think students need to think about taking those.
How can their kids actually learn how to communicate properly?
Well, I think they need to expose themselves to various situations. And so that's where going to a church or a club, playing sports, going out and having a bit of fun, all of those are quite important in terms of developing those skills. And sometimes we at university see people who are really academically very bright, but they can't communicate very well.
No.
So we give them advice and we give them support. And if people think they're lacking, and if parents think their children are lacking, then there are plenty of opportunities around for people to improve their skills there. But I think academic skills are really important, but employers really value people who can communicate. Those soft skills, as we call them, are really important.
For the full disclosure, make sure you're watching Finance Weekly on Thursday morning, 8 o'clock. Now moving on to a happy dinner, introducing and reviewing your favourite restaurants in Auckland.
There are 3 different soup bases: pork bone soup, hen and cow bone soup, and the special spicy and mala soup. After choosing your own soup base, here comes your mini hot pot. 1 pot for each person, economical and hygienic. Before we head to the meat and seafood, let's go to the seasoning sauce bar and make our own sauce. We usually only get 1 type of sauce to go with our hot pot, which can be very boring. But don't you worry, here we have up to 20 different sauces and spices to choose from. So what are you waiting for? Let's mix it up. Besides the ingredients to cook in the hot pot, the soup is also very important too. Just look at the spicy chili oil floating on top of the spicy mala hot pot. Floating on top of the spicy mala hot pot, dip your favorite meat and vegetables in this homemade special chili oil, then dip it in your own sauce once it's cooked. Now who can say no to that? This is truly a hot pot customized for every customer's taste.
这一道呢是店家隆重为我们推荐的自制虾滑，别看它的盘子不大。
This is the special handmade prawn paste the chef has strongly recommended to us. The plate may look small, but the paste is very thick, and you can smell that it's very fresh. Let me show you how it's done.
老板说这里食材呢全部都是精心采购过来。
The owner told me all the ingredients are fresh, ensuring that all customers can have the freshest food and have a good appetite. Just look at this red and white striped beef. There's no need to say more that this is high quality. And not only is this tender, it actually has a little bit tendon in the meat, so it gives a good chew. On the other hand, although the prawn paste is covered with strong spices, but that doesn't cover its freshness at all.
While enjoying a steaming hot pot, why not have a glass of icy slushy?
For the full disclosure